Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the GG Sunday League game between NFH and Noob. My name is Pascal the Pat Schuster. With me casting here is...
Hi, I'm Ethelis. I am going to be helping Pash today. It's my first cast, so hopefully I don't step on his toes too much.
Oh, everyone has his first cast at some point. So, I guess it's not going to be so bad. Just do whatever you do when you're casting to yourself, or what you do when you practice, and it's going to be fine.
Yeah, let's hope so. I'm a little starstruck here. We've got a ELTK Razor, Challenger Tier 3v3 player, so could be some high skill games today.
Well, yeah. Looking at the lobby, it does look like we got a couple of high-tier players in here. The majority of Team NFH, of Team Noob here is Platinum. And of course, Team NFH has that Challenger player in there. So I'm just going to ask the players if everyone is ready. And we should be getting into Champion Select fairly soon here.
Hey, wake up.
It's going to be an interesting game. I've had a chance to see NFH play. We've played them ourselves as a member of Team Fluke, and they're a tough game. As for Noob Gaming, I haven't had a chance to see them play, but as you've been saying, all platinum players they got to be pretty good, so it should be an interesting one.
Yes, it is. Hopefully we'll see some good plays in today's game. And does look like all the players are ready. I'm just gonna wait for the signal here to start the game. Good.
We've got claims to fame here. We've got Sonfon saying he's a diamond player. I'm afraid that's not what it says in your league.
Well, maybe
I guess
maybe he's an EUNE Smurf. Who knows?
it could be, could be.
I mean, it does say he only won 26 games in ranked.
Interesting, but who knows?
Who knows
Could be a
exactly?
Smurf, I guess.
Um.
Of course, 3-3.
Yes, indeed.
Yes,
So it does look like we're finally gonna get into Champ Select here in this game between TNG and NFH. Fairly soon.
Or maybe we spoke too soon.
I'm fairly sure it's gonna be just a few more
it'll be at the moment,
seconds. Yeah.
Just like to keep us waiting. Build
Yep.
some suspense.
There we go. Here it is, the Champion Select. And I'm just gonna change the overlay here as well. There we go. TNG versus NFH in the GG Sunday League.
It's certainly going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see if we see any target bans, or if it's going to be some more generic banning, just banning out those champions that nobody wants to see on the enemy team.
Just like that. Oh, there we see the Cassidon ban, and he's such a popular ban. Zed also banned out, so those are.
Yes,
I would say they're more standard bans here, unless there are some really good Cassidon or Zed players on both of these teams.
Evelyn's, I guess, like it's bannable, but it's slightly out there. Perhaps their support isn't very comfortable playing against an Evelyn, so you'll often see it banned if the support finds it changes the game too much.
Yeah, Aatrox
become very Aatrox is a good ban.
No, and that Vayne ban. Now that is probably going to be more of a target ban. on towards the AD carry of NFH. We're going to see how this all pans out. Also, what NFH's third ban will be here in this game, and of course, the first picks. Going to tell us about a little bit about the team compositions both teams are going to be going here. Fizz being banned out. That's the final ban in this game. And Jinx.
Of course.
Jinx first picked here by TNG. They are going for the rather strong AD carry.
There's not a lot of time wasted on that pick. Jinx, as I'm sure we all know from solo queue, is an extremely strong AD carry. A lot of utility, great mobility, and just, tons of damage.
Tons of damage indeed. We see NFH hovering over Caitlyn and Sona. Now they switched over to Ezreal and Sona. It does look like they're going to sort out their bottom lane here in those first two picks. There we see them both locked in, and those are rather safe lane. The Ezreal, of course, with that gap closer escape, the arcane shift, and Sona lots of sustain. Very squishy though, so has to watch out not to get caught out in the early game.
Yeah, we could see we could see a Blitzcrank being picked up here. It's just extremely powerful against Sona, but looks like Nami is being hovered here, so it could be a Nami lane trying to match a bit of the sustain and poke that Sona can provide.
Yes, and of course those aqua prisons can be very devastating if they hit. So Nami is an all-round support really. Can do really aggressive moves, but you can also play her as a sustain support and have a safe lane with her, using the aqua prison as more of a disengage than an engage.
It's going to work extremely well with what appears to be a Jarvan, and we'll see it being locked in. Yeah, just
there
being locked in now. It's setting up a lot of free engages for Jarvan if that prison lands. Or vice versa, of course.
Teemo being hovered over here by NFH.
I have a feeling we're being trolled.
I do not know if they'll lock it in. If they do lock it in, mad props, because I would love to see a Teemo in this game. I am not gonna lie.
I think we all want to see Teemo, but I think we also know that it's not very likely.
Yes, that's probably true. We'll see what their true pick will be. As it stands, Razor, our challenger tier player, hovering over Vi here. Oh, there we go. Teemo switched to Shen.
Okay, we've got a more reasonably standard pick in the Shen here, most likely. A lot of synergy with Vi. You get a lot of free engages if he uses that Stand United on the Vi to get the guaranteed engage.
Of course, the Assault and Battery, really strong engaging tool. Vault Breaker, good tool to both get into fights and out of them. Of course, can Vault Break over those walls. We see Shen locked in on that top lane, so we got that Stand United hovering over TNG here as a very, very potent split pushing tool.
Yeah, of course. I mean, Shen's always a threat. He can provide a lot, especially if he gets ahead. Although with this Jax pickup, I think it's going to be extremely difficult. Shen has a nightmare lane against Jax. It's very, very difficult. There's essentially nothing that Shen can do Jax cares about. He's just going to farm, and then once he gets 6, he's just going to completely annihilate him in any kind of duel, which makes it very hard for Shen to split push as he wants to be doing.
That is indeed. However, that Shen usually gets very tanky towards the end of the game, so just committing one player to stop him maybe won't be enough if NFH manages to pull through and not fall behind too far. As we see Jax and Ahri picked up here for TNG. Gonna be an interesting one. Ahri, of course, a very bursty assassin. Yeah, that was an immediate Gragas. Gragas widely accepted as a counter pick to Ahri because he is that tanky mid laner.
Yes, he's also getting some double up potential on the Jarvan and on the Jax. With that exploding cask, he can just knock them away. Say no, we don't want you engaging on us today. That's not going to happen. We don't want this fight, and just get right on out of there with that body slam as well.
Is indeed body slam, a potent tool to get both in and out. And looking at the teams here, we see a lot of gap closers on NFH, of course, with that Ezreal Arcane Shift, with that Vi Vault Breaker, Shen's Shadow Dash, and Gragas's Body Slam. They, what do you think here? What will the main objectives for both of these team compositions be throughout the whole game? Who's going to have the edge in the early, mid, late games, and who's going to fall behind? Who's in danger of falling behind without the necessary plays?
Well, excuse me. As far as the AD cards are concerned, you've got NFH with one of the most mobile and effective AD carries in Ezreal. So it's going to be really hard for Jarvan or Pinari to get on him and lock him down the way they might do with, say, a Misfortune or someone with less escape. And you've got, of course, then Shen coming down on protecting any of those carries, which is most likely going to be Ezreal, making it even harder for the dive composition in Jax, Ahri, and J4 to really make an effect. Sona has excellent protection as well. So there's going to be really, really strong engagement tools and disengagement tools coming from NFH. It's going to be difficult to break through that, but if Team Noob Gaming can split it correctly and perhaps attack two carries at the same time, maybe send J4 and Ahri on the Ezreal to try and double up on him, it's going to be hard to peel them off, and let Jax just terrorize that front line. It could go either way, really.
We see a fairly single target oriented team coming out here out of TNG with that Jax that leap directly onto those high priority targets. Of course, the Jarvan Cataclysm Jinx are also very heavy on single target damage, and with a very potent finisher in that super mega death rocket. And
yes, definitely.
the catching potential is just so high with that Nami Aqua Prison, with the Flak and Drag from Jarvan, and the charms and the Counter Strike. They're gonna look. I think they're gonna look for picks here, especially in that middle game when champions start roaming around the map. I think they're gonna ward there or the enemy jungle and look for picks, for single target picks here.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that analysis. We're going to see a lot of dead Sonas this game, I'd imagine. Sona's going to be trying to ward, and if they don't assign someone to protect her, we're going to see a lot of picks come from that Ahri Charm and the J4 EQ combos. It's just going to be a really, really difficult game for her. We may see a lot of ultimates from Sona blowing very, very quickly just to escape, and that will lead to perhaps a lot of dragon pressure, a lot of Baron dances. We'll just have to see how it plays out in the early game.
Here's another one. The delay period is over in 20 seconds. Let's take this time to go over the matchups. In the top lane, it is Zap Zarap going up against .ie in a Jax versus Shen matchup. In the jungle, it's Shit's Weak on Jarvan going up against our challenger player, ELTK Razor on Vi. In the middle lane, it is going to be Sanfan versus NTH on Ahri versus Gragas. And in the bottom lane, as we have already seen, it is going to be the Jinx and the Nami going up against Ezreal and Sona. We are on the loading screen. The game is going to boot up fairly soon as all those players get to 100%. And we can only wait until the game starts.
It's going to be interesting to see how this the level 1 play develops. I have a feeling that we could see an invade coming from Team Noob Gaming. They have an extremely strong level 1 fight with that Nami Aqua Prison if she decides to take it. The Ahri Charm and the J4 banner just pumping everyone, making them that little tiny bit stronger. And Jax obviously with his Counter Strike to get in that stun if they do land. Any other CC that might lead up to that.
Do you think they might be actually go for a level 1 invade here? They do
I
have
think so.
they do have the possibility, and also their team composition makes for good level 1 engagements. But I gotta say, lots of gap closers coming out here, out of NFH, of course.
Yeah, agreed. It's like I said a second ago, Sona is going to be extremely easily targeted here. We're going to find them in positions where if they do decide to disengage, they all have extremely effective ways to escape with the arcane shift and such, that Sona's going to be left in a position where she'll be quite isolated all on her own. But who knows? It could be.
Speaking of isolated
Could be some big
Sonas,
plays.
we see a Sona in the top side red jungle while the entirety of TNG moves in, but they stand directly on top of a ward. They are all spotted. Nicely warded right there by Sona. Probably, possibly takes. No, they're still going for it. Of course, they do not know that they were spotted out, but in return, at the respawns, we see NFH here going in by themselves. They get spotted by a ward too, so it does look like we're gonna have an early red buff trade here.
Seems to be a fairly team level one. A lot of warding going down in the top jungle on red side. I always love these small brush at Wraith being warded. It just gives so much vision, a lot of information to all lanes, just when those jungler ganks might be incoming.
Well, it does look like both teams have backed away and gonna take their own buffs instead of trading. Of course, loads of deep wards, as you said. The vision potential so high, and it does look like, nope, they are not explorer wards, they are full 3-minute wards. So they're gonna give a little bit of information about jungler movements early in the game.
As you can see, we've got a slightly heavier ward build on the Nami. She's gone for that full consumable build that a lot of supports lean very heavily towards. So we're going to have a ward advantage in bot lane for Team Noob Gaming. Sona only down to the Explorer ward and the Sight ward, whereas we already have a Vision ward left on the Nami to gain that advantage for maybe a few ganks coming in.
Zap Zarab actually going quite low in that top lane against .ie. He's going very aggressive early on because he knows that the later the game gets, the harder it is going to be to deal with that Jax. So it's going to bring down as much damage as possible, but here we might see a gank of Shitsui coming in from the river. They are flag and dragging up, but nice shadow dash from .ie. Gets him away out of that one. No summoners had to be burned. Oh, but here comes the leap directly onto him. Very,
we see the
very
Vi
scary.
coming in, trying to perhaps support Shen, who is obviously under a lot of pressure in the almost 2v1 situation here.
Well, it's currently looking to take those golems, but we might see a move onto that top lane. Of course, that Tri-Brush is warded, so it is going to get spotted out here, and Zaptrap immediately backing away. But here, should say hanging around the middle lane. Currently doing the Wraiths, but ETLK Razor...
Obviously the charm go down and some damage coming down on Cheap Noodles, but that big fat Gragas is not too bothered. He's got a lot of sustain.
Yeah, this might actually have been very interesting because Razor was in the vicinity, ready to act on it. Had already waited with that charm just for a little bit, and then really all-in Cheap Noodles. Might have had a very sticky situation for him. As that Vi, of course, would have thrown everything onto that Ahri, but of course it didn't happen. So, looking at the CS, fairly even across all lanes, except on that middle lane where we see a distinct, slight advantage from Sanfon here. 22 to 14 CS up on that Gragas. So he's already been forced to back away. He's picked up that second Doran's ring along with a ward. It looks like he's having kind of a rough time in lane.
The same could be said for Jax. We've got a pretty tough Shen here. He's playing the lane extremely well. Even after that gank, he's got an 8 CS lead at the minute, and he has forced Jax out of lane. So we could maybe see a Shen get a little bit ahead here, and Jax maybe not be quite as effective as I had anticipated this match.
And on the bottom lane, Respawn and Godrox taking loads of harassment there from that Jinx. Very strong early damage on that Zap. So potent poke potential. And Respawn He does not have any pots. Start with the Doran's Blade. Fairly standard AD carry start, but of course, it means that Sona is pretty much the only form of sustain he can rely on.
Bot lane seems to be fairly even in farm. Ezreal's happy enough to get pushed back to his tower. He's got that Mystic Shot. He can last hit better than most at tower. And especially with that Doran's Blade, last hit becomes extremely easy for both AD carries.
As you say that, we see Respawn actually miss the CS, but that happens to the best of us. Razor making... no, actually not making a move on the middle lane here. But we might see Shitsweak warding that middle brush, providing a little bit of ward coverage for his mid laner. And actually both got a ward in that same brush here, so mid laner's fairly safe from ganks here. As Cheap Noodles also has that topside river brush warded. They're both going to be able to get away from ganks, from any potential ganks.
Cast Rise to top lane, we see that the top laners have both just got 6. So that Shen ultimate is going to become a big threat, especially to the bot lane, I find. We're going to see a lot of engagements from the Shen. And it's going to, I think this game is really going to come down to how effectively they use this ultimate in the early game, and whether they can get advantage and make those plays for Dragon that Shen allows.
Yes, as we are 7 minutes into the game, we see Razor coming down onto the bottom lane. The zap comes out but misses. Oh, very nice Aqua Prison. Stuns Razor, prevents that gank from happening. As we see, Cheap Noodles getting fed his blue buff right here, so he's gonna have that a little bit earlier than Ahri. But Shitsweak already making a move towards it. They're gonna give him that too, so it's not too bad. Ahri having pushed the lane up to the enemy's outer turret here, gonna give her a little bit of time to pick up that blue buff and not take away any disadvantages from the slightly later blue buff when compared to his opponent.
I think Ahri's performance in this lane has been stellar. Up on CS, on the supposed counter lane from Gragas, a lot of harass being laid down, and this blue buff is just going to exacerbate.
Oh, the explosive cask!
Blowing from Cheap Noodles there.
That was interesting. Not sure why he did that. Charm comes out, misses. Well,
this leaves him in a weak position. I mean, Ahri still has her ultimate ready. If he decides to stay in lane with his low mana and without that ultimate, we could see a very, very safe engage from the Ahri, and he has no way to stop it now that that exploding cask has been burned.
Of course, we see Razor showing up here, trying to defend that lane, covering Gragas so he can safely back and heal back up, get those mana problems out of the way. So he's gonna
an extremely tanky Shen coming back to lane with the Doran shield, boots, and the giant spell. Oh, we got some good on bot lane.
Oh, on the bottom lane, we see Respawn and Godrock going very low here as Super Mega Death Rocket is used, but it does not pick up any kills. They are forced out of lane though. We're gonna see how much damage Raidon and Varkin can put down on the enemy turret. They are pushing that lane. And that rocket launcher, such a potent pushing tool. No junglers anywhere near. Godrocks and Respawn gonna need some time to get to that lane. They take the turret to less than half HP.
Certainly an interesting game so far. No kills yet. We're almost 10 minutes in, and First Blood has not been drawn. As far as the lane rundowns goes, we've got Shen on 66 CS and is proving to be extremely dominant in this lane. Jack's finding it very
here
hard
on the
to
bottom lane, we
deal
see
with
Cheap
that.
Noodles coming in from the Tri-Brush. As Raidon may be in a very sticky situation here. Explosive Cask is used, the Ignite is down. First Blood going to NFH. Cheap Noodles, and they may be looking for a quick dragon pickup here as Nami is still on her way, and there's really nobody near that area who could contest or even steal it. They pick up the dragon A nice turn of events for NFH here.
I mean, it was extremely good timing from NFH there, coming down, picking up the kill, and converting that into a drag.
Oh, we see the assault battery onto Sanfon. Sheep Noodle's going very low here. The Foxfire picks him up, and here's to Stand United.ie coming in. Will Sanfon go down here? Cataclysm is used to take down Vi. Super Mega Death Rocket to help out Chitsweek against .ie, but the damage is so high and he's so tanky. Will he be able to get away from this? They both disengage. It is a 2-for-1 in favor of TNG.
Yeah, I mean, that team fight was extremely well executed from the Shen ultimate. As I was saying, they made the play and got the Shen ultimate in. Extremely useful ability, as we all know. However, that does allow Jax, as a consequence, to get a lot of free farm and a free push up in this top lane. So we'll see Shen responding by moving top lane to try and stop that push.
Oh, and Varkin may actually be in trouble here. Probably has to burn his flash to get away. Or no, he does not. Yes, he does. There he goes, over the Dragon Pit. Was a little bit of caught out as he was trying to ward that dragon area. That's a flash
so
burn.
The gold is extremely even. Around a 400 gold lead for Team NFH. That dragon probably just tipping it in their favor, but the increased farm for Ari over the Gragas is really pulling the gold to a more even standard.
Yes, and as we see, that summoner has been burned on the bottom lane, so Nami, if a gang comes in, obviously won't have that flash available. And it was really a situation, it was kind of unnecessary.
We see a gank in the top lane.
Oh, yes, we indeed see Razor coming in to gank Zap the Rap here, but he's just gonna get away. Didn't even have to pop Grandmaster's Might.
Thinking better of the dive in that situation. It's always very dangerous to dive a Jax. You never know what might happen.
That is true, especially if he gets that Counter-Strike stun onto you. Might be in very high amounts of trouble if you are under a turret being targeted by it at that time. And lots of poke coming down on the bottom lane onto Respawn.
That looked painful.
Yes, indeed it did. That zap damage, so strong. Oh, look at that, another one. Oh man, he has to Arcane Shift out. Thought about backing, but here Razor comes in. We'll see if something happens here, of course. They are going to push the lane towards the turret now. And another zap, hitting God Rocks this time. But Razor backs away.
Now we see in top lane, Jax doing what he does best, coming to lane with that Grandmaster's Might passives and just really laying down the hurt on the Shen, who can't really respond effectively to that.
Yes, we see.
Shen has been forced back as a result.
Indeed, still has a slight advantage as they are both even in CS, but of course we saw that kill going to .ie. And Stand United is back up, so we're gonna see if a team fight's gonna break out in the near vicinity. As on the bottom lane, right on, getting very low here as a gank from Major comes in. It's getting a lot of turret damage. Nice Aqua Prison, but wonderful tanking from Respawn saves Razor's life here.
Yeah, we saw as that fight began, the Nami used her Aqua Prism just above the bush and didn't actually hit anything, which allowed Razor to come in free of charge, didn't take any harass, took nothing, and came in with a free engage. And I happen to think if that Aqua Prism had hit, they would have got away with it.
On the middle lane,
as is a double kill for Team NFH.
On the middle lane, we just saw Cheap Noodles getting hit by a charm. Foxfire and Orb of Deception immediately following, but he is just so tanky. And on the bottom lane, Respawn now in trouble as Shitchby is coming in. Cataclysm is used, he picks him up. God Rocks has to flash out. Super Mega Death Rocket flies by. Not quite hitting its target.
That's the power of the J4 engagement. A lot of damage coming down, and Ezreal paid a steep price for sticking around trying to get that push on.
Another charm landing on Cheap Noodles in the middle lane. He is going so low. Sanfon really doing a really good job here of taking care of that Gragas. As on the top lane, we actually kind of missed a gank coming down onto Jax. He gets taken down with a little help from Razor. And they are probably gonna try to take down this top turret now.
Yeah, if we take a look at the items at Edge...
Oh, Stand United used on the mid lane. But that was apparently just to save cheap noodles. Shitspeak, meanwhile, prevented that turret kill from happening on the top lane. As TNG picks themselves up their first turret of the game, which is the enemy's bottom outer. And Dragon will be up in 25 seconds. So that turret pickup's gonna give them that little bit of map control. Of course, they lost their own turret, so we might say it's even now.
If we, yeah, as I was saying, if we take a look at the items, we see some similar builds coming out from AD Towers here. They've both gone for that Bloodthirster rush. Often you'll see Ezreal go for the Triforce, but he's opted for the Bloodthirster first, and I think that's a wise decision in this match. He's going to need that sustain to try and avoid any kind of poke that's coming down onto him and keep those sieges up at towers.
Now loads of wards cleared in that Baron area as we again see two pink wards go down right after each other. Both teams are obviously looking for Dragon here, and Respawn and Godrox may actually be in a little bit of a sticky situation here as they're all alone against the 4-man TNG coming in, trying to take that Dragon. As on the middle lane, Raider gets engaged upon by Sanfan. Explosive Cask seals the Ignite is down. He has to flash out of the Gragas body slam. It is a pickup, but at the same time, TNG picks up the Dragon. Gonna give them a slight gold lead of about 500 here, but that's basically nothing.
There you can see just the strength of Ari and how the plays she can make. We saw the Assault and Battery come down onto the Ari, and she dashed back, getting a better position. And then as the barrel came down from Gragas, she managed to dodge that also, and just mitigated a lot of damage and dealt damage at the same time.
TNG actually going in a little bit too deep, having to use that tidal wave to disengage, as NFH shows their strength in pushing them back. Here we see a disconnect coming out from Razor and an immediate pause following that. Let's see what happened. Yes, it is.
Razor was just so disgusted with his death that he's decided to leave.
Possibly, quite possibly. Anyway, looking at the itemizations here, of course the gold is, well, 500, but that's not that big of a difference. It's pretty much that one kill that is between those two. Looking at the itemization, is there anything that surprises you, or do we see some fairly standard builds here?
Yeah, I think we've got some very standard stuff going on. We've got the Deathfire Grass coming out on Ari, Sunfire Cape on Shen, and it looks like Jax is heading for the old Triforce Blood of the Rain King combo and just really start blowing people up. So nothing too surprising. Perhaps we'll see the Ezreal moving towards that Triforce very soon.
As it stands, we actually see Ezreal starting out with a Bloodthirster here, so not immediately going for that Triforce. The game is back on, the DC issue has been resolved, and we see an immediate middle outer turret picked up here by NFH. Gonna give them a little bit of that gold back, and now it's bang even.
Yeah, it's turned into a bit of a nail-biter here. This is extremely close. They've traded Dragon for Dragon, Tower for Tower, and almost kill for kill with a 5-4 lead going down to Team NFH, but this is really anybody's game at this stage.
Yes, it is. Both of these teams really strong, not gonna give anything to their opponents here for free. I think we're in for a very exciting and long game here, as almost 20 minutes have passed, and both of these teams look equally strong.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Moving into the mid-game, we're going to see some of the things that we had been talking about in the Champion Select. We're going to see Ari, who has got extremely fed, lots of farm, 3 kills, doing really, really well. She's going to be getting picks with that charm and just blowing people up. So we're going to see, I think, moving into the mid-game, an advantage for Team Noob Gaming. But as we know, with the mobility on Team NFH, they can dodge those charms and perhaps get out of those situations.
Now looking actually at the inventories here, we see that NFH is actually buying more wards at this point than TNG, even though the pick composition that TNG went for here would merit more wards coming out from them. They have that overview over these jungles and get those opportunities to pick single members of NFH off.
Yeah, it could be that the Team NFH has identified this pick composition that the Team Noob Gaming have gone for, and they've gone for an extreme amount of wards coming down from the jungler and from the support, which is of course wonderful. We see wards on Shen as well. Really trying to get vision to stop those picks going down.
Yes, indeed. And as we look at the map, see loads of pink wards coming out here for NFH. Oh, the explosive cask! Cat is out right on, but no follow-up there. Did deal a good bit of damage though.
Luckily for Gragas, with the blue buff up, he can really use that ultimate aggressively. It's got an extremely low cooldown, as you can see. It's only on about a 30-second cooldown left on it now. Yeah, about 30 seconds. So it's a 54-second cooldown total. So he can use it more aggressively than perhaps some ultimates.
It is a tense standoff on that middle lane, as most of both teams are assembled to do the dance. Of course, NFH's middle outer turret still not fallen down. We're going to see TNG pushing to get that, to even up the turret score once more, as they are currently down one turret. And in the meanwhile, .IE having a little bit of a hard time stopping that Jax. Of course, no, actually, he's not having a hard time. Zapzarap going really low here, but still going aggressive onto him.
Yeah, we just see the Shen with that Sunfire Cape, with the Warden's Mail, which is an extremely effective item against Zag. Just ignoring Jax and just saying, I don't care, I'm just going to take your tower, I'm just going to farm, and you're not going to be able to stop me.
Oh, the explosive cask used once more. There's a flash in from Respawn. Or Arcane Shift in from Respawn. That was not a flash. He still has that available. Putting a good amount of damage onto Sanfan, but he does survive. Backs away and recalls, but still, there are 4 members of NFH now pushing onto that middle inner turret. And only 2 members, 3 now, to defend it. And those barrels coming out, yes. That is, those barrels, very potent poking coming out at NFH here. Of course, also with those mystic shots. Trinity Force is not quite completed yet, so he does not have that Spellblade passive available. But still, Bloodthirster, lots of raw AD, pushing that damage.
And once that, like I say, once the Triforce is picked up, Ezreal's going to be doing a lot of damage, and they're going to be even more advantaged in these tower siege positions with the wave clear from Gragas and the poke coming out from both Ezreal.
You might
Gragas.
actually see TNG go in here as Pixweek flags and drags himself into the enemy team. It takes a lot of punishment for it. And actually, while everything has been going on the middle lane here, Shen and Jax, the eternal fight on the top lane, completely secluded from everyone else. But, of course, Shen has that ultimate available, so once things get Ahri, he can teleport in and turn the 4v5 into a 4v4 into a 5v4.
Come out on top of this fight.
Yes, he does. The Shadow Dash taunt is coming. Yes, he does get the kill. Ignite was also used.
Excellent dueling from Shen there. He waited to the last possible second to pop that taunt, landed it, and secured the kill. And now we're going to secure the tower.
NFH immediately rotating onto that dragon. Oh, look at that. Pretty much a full TNG team moving onto .IE here. Spirit Rush is burned by Sanfan. The Charm lands. He's going to go down here. So they do pick him up. But because they committed so many people up top, that Ahri is going to take some while to get back into the middle lane, giving NFH an opportunity to push that middle turret here. They don't seem to be going for it, though. Instead, backing away. Possibly going to farm jungles. God rocks. Gonna clear out a few wards here.
Whenever you see your main tank, Shen, being dealt quite so much damage by the AP guy, it's perhaps time to worry. That area is getting extremely strong. With the Rabadon's Death Cap at this stage, Sorcerer's Shoes, and the Deathfire Grasp doing a lot of damage to that tank.
Yes, indeed. As we do see both teams just backing away into their jungles. A little bit of farm going here. It's that phase of the game where we often see both teams assemble on the mid lane in a little bit of a skirmish, then something happens and they both back away and go farm until they meet again in that middle lane. So no real aggressive plays coming from either of those teams at this point.
Yeah, we can see Shen doing just what Shen does best. He's in that bot lane now, pushing for free. He's extremely fat, very, very tanky, and Jax really can't do anything to stop him. I had predicted that they would send the Jax to duel him, but it's just not going to work out that way. Even in his creep wave, Jax is an extreme disadvantage.
And that was the third true shot barrage in a row that went out just to farm away those minions. As in the top lane, we do see the blue side minions pushing a little bit into the red team disadvantage, but here we see the Cataclysm going in onto Raynor. He has to flash away, going really low right, and takes him down though with the Super Mega Death Rocket. And NFH now in full retreat as Jax jumps into the turret. Stand United has to be used on God Rocks. The turret goes down, no more protection. God Rocks get hit by Charm. He is going down. Oh, look at that. Ari coming out really big here, picking up a triple kill, and possibly going to down the dot. I mean, no, he goes back in, charms him. Is he gonna pick him up here? Flash has to be burned, but they're still not over. Yes, the zap picks him up. It's a clean ace for TNG here, as they are going to pick up the middle inner turret here. And possibly the inner turret as well. Yes, he does. But he did get very low in that fight. Had to back away or he would have gone down. TNG picks themselves up 5 kills and an inhibitor turret in a very strong engagement.
Okay, an extremely strong team fight coming out from Noob Gaming there. Ari just being, like I said, an absolute menace in the back line. No one was safe, not even Shen. Everyone just getting charmed. Just really, really paying the price for that early feed that she got. Looking at the Shen ultimate down on the
Oh, look at that. Razor actually engaging onto Sanfan here in the mid lane, but gets taken down by a very, very low Ari. Oh, goodness.
The strength of Ari just, it's quite crazy at the moment. Really, really powerful, and just really couldn't do anything to him there. The spell from the passive coming in and being really, really effective.
Indeed so. And now, again, NFH at a disadvantage here. As they are 4 versus 5, and TNG moves into their jungle, getting some wards down, practically locking that thing off. And here they may find respawn. There comes the flag and drag. He may be in some big trouble here. Zetrab is also on his way, but here's the rest of NFH. They deal a lot of damage onto Shitspeak. True Shot Barrage coming out. Not enough to take Shitspeak down. They do get away.
We could see a chase coming. Oh, dear.
Oh, my goodness.
Ari just getting the free pick.
Ari is legendary. That is not a thing you want to hear in a game.
Certainly not. I felt that perhaps NFH could have made a few more moves after they played the 2v4 situation in the top brush there in their jungle. I felt they could maybe have chased that a bit wider, as Ari was so isolated in the mid lane. I felt they could have chased that, but perhaps they felt slightly just having fallen behind at this stage. They were just scared of Ari coming in and getting the cleanup like she did in the last team fight.
And .ie and Zetrab and Chun and Jax are going at it again in that top lane. It really is an eternal struggle between those two. But the rest of TNG moving in on the inhibitor now. Only be able to pick it up here. As Raynor making his way into the enemy team, but taking a lot of punishment, may actually go down here. No, not quite, but it opens up the inhibitor to get picked up. TNG picks up the first inhibitor of the game after 29 minutes and 30 seconds. And things are looking bleak for NFH.
Yeah, things just appear to be slipping just out of their control at this point. We've got extremely strong champions on both sides, but it looks like Ari's going to be the playmaker. Just coming in there, doing tons of damage, just no one is safe. We see Shen getting caught by the charm here. The taunt going down.
And actually going, oh, look at that explosive cast immediately takes it down. There comes the assault and battery onto Ryodan. They pick him up. Zephyret now in trouble as 4 members of NFH are onto him. It's a double kill for Razor, and Schizwick and Varkin have to get away from this. It's a 3-0, and a bit of a turnaround here at this point in the game for NFH. And they are making their way on towards that Baron. They are starting it off. It is going down quite fast. Of course, Schizwick, the jungler of TNG, is up. And they are standing there, maybe looking for a steal here, but immediately Respawn and Godrocks move out. They want to prevent that from happening. Here comes that IE getting the taunt onto Varkin. And look at that NFH moving away from the Baron to take down those last 2 members of TNG. Actually, only taking down Schizwick, the jungler, and immediately picking up the Baron afterwards. Nice job.
Just a great turnaround from NFH, keeping this game alive. They got the catch on Ari with a beautiful taunt coming out from Shen, and then they chained that into the Ezreal ultimate, which I can't quite remember the name of.
I see another pause coming out here.
Arcane Barrage.
Seems to be another disconnect here for NFH. So, now that the Baron has been picked up by NFH, this could be very, very huge for them. Of course, they did lose that inhibitor earlier. Do you think they'll be able to turn the game around here? And what will they have to do in order to pull it off?
Well, as we saw in that fight, we saw Dan getting the catch on the Ari with a beautiful taunt, and I think that's really going to be key, although it's going to be extremely difficult because of the maneuverability of that Ari. If they can get the catch on her and blow her up with the Gragas ultimate, with the Ezreal, they can really turn a fight around, as without her they lack the damage that they've been presenting in previous team fights. So especially with this Baron buff now, they're going to be that little bit more damaging, that little bit more tanky. It's going to be really, really, really in their favour in the coming team fights. We might see that coming straight up that middle lane to protect the towers, or perhaps in a fight for Dragon.
As we see, Cheap Noodles is back in the game, so we might see this pause being lifted here any moment now. And it's going to be way interesting to see how this game pans out now. We saw TNG having the distinct advantage in the early stage of the game, but as we have just discussed, that Baron might turn things around. Just that little bit that NFH needs to turn the game around. Cheap Noodles has left the game once more, so it seems to be more of a extended issue here. We're going to see how long it'll take.
Yeah, it's so we see Gragas disappearing once more. Hopefully this isn't for too long. Game, the momentum can be taken out with these pauses.
Yeah. Also takes a bit of the momentum away from the game.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, NFH with that team fight, followed up by the Baron, really have the wind in their sails at this point, and unfortunately these pauses are just going to slow them down a bit, just take away the strength of that victory. And something that's often underestimated is the way the game flows and who has the momentum at that stage. It's something that's often underrepresented and is often very, very potent in team fights.
Yes, of course, the mental aspect of League of Legends. Very, very important. And you are absolutely correct, often gets underestimated. But still, it does not take away from the fact that they can be very happy with what they just managed to pull off in this game.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we see them really developing their item builds with that extra gold coming down for the team fight and the Baron. Ezreal's picked up the Triforce, the Bloodthirster, and looks like he's probably moving towards the Archer build with the pickaxe, moving most likely in toward Last Whisper. Shen is getting extremely tanky, moving towards that Spirit Visage from the Spectre's Coil. On the opposing side, we just saw Ari pick up the Zhonya's Hourglass, so that's probably just to avoid the situation that we just saw with the Shen pick. She'll be able to pop that there and hopefully survive any burst that might come her way.
Yes, indeed. Gragas, meanwhile, back in the game once more. So, we'll see if this will be the end of this pause this time, or if he will disappear once more. Of course, even with NFH having picked up Baron here, the Ahri, Sanfan on Ahri, is still going to be a huge factor. They can absolutely not let one of their main carries, one of their priority targets, get picked up by that Ahri here. They're just going to give away the Baron for free and feed that Ahri even more. So even though they have the Baron, it does not mean they can just relax and count on things to work out by themselves.
Yeah, certainly not. I mean, Ari's still stronger as an individual than anyone on either team. No one's going to be able to fight her effectively. Even that Shen was getting chunked pretty hard, especially with the Scepter coming down there with that increased damage. It's going to be really, really hard for NFH to deal with that Ari, moving into the backline and just shredding the carries. Must be some pretty big problems for Deep Noodles in this game. Having a bit of trouble getting back in this time.
Yes, we did just get the announcement the Cheap Noodles has reconnected. Obviously the pause has not been lifted yet, so the issue is still standing. Oh, we see NFH actually asking the enemy team if they are ready here, so we might see the game continue fairly soon. Just a few more moments. There we go. The pause timer being lifted here, and we are getting back into the game after a rather extended pause. So, NFH, a little bit of a minion problem here in their base, having to take care of them. It's of course
those pesky super minions.
It's of course going to mean that TNG's minions are going to push towards their base now, because all the lane minions that were supposed to go to the lanes were held up by those super minions.
We can see Team Blue Gaming starting to take a bit of control of the jungle here. They moved in, took the dragon, took that blue, and they're starting to ward up, trying to get a bit of vision.
They're doing exactly that. Still, we got looking at the team compositions. While TNG excels at picking off targets, it does look like NFH will have the stronger full-on team fights here. And that is definitely going to be a factor.
We're going to see Gax moving towards that Trinity Force, and he's going to get a very big power spike once that comes into play. That's the Spellblade proc is just so powerful, and you'll see him dealing a lot of damage, a lot of burst, a lot of sustained damage also.
That is the case, and we see TNG actually grouping up on the middle lane here. But Zabzarab, apparently having enough gold to pick up that Trinity Force now, decides to back away. And will we see him pick it up? He's just gonna wait for a while for those final few gold coins to flow into his. Yes. Well, we'll see. He's gonna pick it up. As it stands, 4 members of TNG, and actually 3 members of TNG now in that middle lane. There we go. He has picked up the Trinity Force.
It's going to be a very big factor, as I was saying. Just really gives him a big damage spike.
That it will. But now, we see actually NFH grouping up in that middle lane, ready to make the move, all Baroned up. While Shen, again, split pushing that top lane, requiring Jax to go in and fend him off. And that is true. It was really a tense moment here for NFH. And they are actually forced to back away here. Stunfon shows himself. Flag and Drag in from Shift's weak. Shitsweek. Razor has to use the Vault Breaker. But they left .ie alone in that top lane and are now forced to go back. Otherwise, he will pick himself up in inhibitor turret here. We see immediately NFH collapsing onto him, but freeing the way.
Dead Shen. He's getting closed down very quickly. We'll see if the Aqua Prism comes down here.
He might use the Stand United to get out. He is quite tanky. He uses the Shadow Dash, but will run into Zap the Rap. But still, they committed 5 members just to take down that Shen. And in turn, lose the middle inner turret, basically for free. I mean, they did pick up the Shen, but still, trading a split pusher for a turret kind of defeats the point of going after the split pusher.
I think we'll see an inhibitor charge coming down from the gaming here with the 4v5 advantage.
Oh, Shitsweek actually using
really hard for them to resist it.
The Cataclysm onto Razor. He has to flash out, but still he's going after him with that flag and drag. Positional advantage definitely in favor of TNG here as they pick up the inhibitor, but decide to back away just as quickly.
It seems like the trade worked out better for them at first thought. Picking up that Shen allowed them to relieve pressure in the top lane and then just make a push to get that free inhibitor once again.
That is the case. They were just out. They had this out-positioned NFH here, and the Baron has actually expired, so you didn't really see anything coming out from that. Of course, they did pick up the middle inner, but they could have tried to do more out of that Baron.
We just see, alright, just missing the charm.
Razor actually going on to Shitsweek here. This may be big. Shitsweek flag and dragging in. Here's the crescendo, stunning 3 people of TNG, but he re-engagement immediately follows. Razor in a bit of trouble here. Zap Trap is onto him. Explosive cast. Beautiful. Very nicely thrown. Kind of spreads TNG apart here, but Sanfon so strong, picking himself up a Sona here. Now getting engaged upon by Sheep Noodles here. Will he be able to turn this around? The Ignite is down. Rubber Deception getting thrown out. Meanwhile, .ie chasing Varkin. Sheep Noodles actually does get away. So far, 2 for 1 in favor of TNG. But, oh, the Zonia so close is going to go down regardless, but .ie so tanky. Look at that. He picks up the double kill. They are on to Shitsweek now. Will he be able to get away? Well, he will just flag and drag over the wall. Oh, no, he does not. So they use that. Oh. Well, never mind that. But look at that. Super minions are flowing in to NFH's base here. Nexus turrets are going to take a little bit of a beating.
And as we know,
scratch that little bit.
Clearing those groups.
Look at that. The first Nexus turret already down to less than half HP. They stuck around for a little too long. Still managed to fend that wave off.
Extremely favorable for Team NFH there. Again, being an absolute menace to the backline. You can see him engaging just below the dragon and taking Jinx out of the fight completely. He didn't quite pick up the kill, he had to back off, but he took her down to really low HP and forced her to force the barrier as well. So, Shen being a really large component of this NFH team, really doing the work and carrying this team very effectively.
Indeed. Shitsweek shooing away that Sona before being shooed away himself by Respawn and Razor. As we see TNG making moves towards that Baron, and they do actually start it off immediately. Look at how fast it's going down, and I'm not sure if NFH has any idea of what's going on here. They are making moves towards it. The ward goes down. They see that Baron has been started off. Now they have to react quickly. Everyone immediately going in. Razor actually vault breaking in, trying to get the steal, but Baron is not low enough. And here's the Shen ultimate being used. Rhyodon removed from the fight there. Now onto Zaptrap. Razor using the assault and battery onto Sanfon. He is going down. No, the Zonias protects him. Barkin and Shitsweek though, very low. Jax gets taken down. It does look like Shitsweek will get taken down too. Sanfon will get away. Has that Guardian Angel available, but it will not get popped. And it's another 3 for nothing in favor of NFH here, except this time They do not go for the Baron, instead opting to go for the inhibitor turret. They may actually pick themselves up an inhibitor here, as respawn timers for Rhydon and Zapzarab are getting very high at this point in the game. Of course, Sanfon is there. Oh, the charm lands onto Chi. A lot of harassment, but it's just not enough. Will he be able to pick up the inhibitor here?
Ben really wants that inhibitor.
Yes, that is true, but he will... Oh no! Cataclysm is used. .ae just shadow dashes out of it. They don't get the inhibitor.
Yeah, in that fight there we saw the power of the Shen Vi combo.
Oh, they're still not done. Look at that. .ie using the shadow dash in to save his team, but they do not run away. Instead, they decide to go in two. Will Godrox get away here? Yes, he will. So it's just .ie who goes down here.
It looks like we're going to see another attempt made for the Baron now that that Shen menace has been removed.
That is true. NFH does know what's going on.
This. With the Jax, with the Blade of the Ring, King of the Triforce, they're really going to take this down quickly.
That is true. Razor was making the move towards that, is now making a move towards that, but will not get there in time. Baron gets picked up here for TNG. As Cheap Noodles again has a disconnecting issue. And again we see the pause coming out. Again after a Baron, by the way. Somehow,
yeah, it's
once they kill
things
Baron...
are turning once more.
Maybe Baron represents Cheap Noodles' internet connection here.
That's possible, I suppose.
So TNG takes down Cheap Noodles' internet here after a nice fight in which they remove .ie from the equation. And again, the ready call from NFH.
High price for the try and take that inhibitor.
Yeah, here we go. The game is back on. Wasn't that long of a pause this time.
Oh no, not too long. It's Baron let him back nice and fast.
We see TNG picking up themselves another dragon here, but still, considering that the game has gone on for 40 minutes now, almost 41, the gold between those teams and the turrets and the kills, they are so close. These teams, neither really has a definite edge over the other.
I think at this stage, now we see 2 GAs for Team Noob Gaming, one on the Ari and the other on the Jinx. It's going to be extremely difficult to deal with this. They've got those extra lives to come in and really turn around fights in this late game.
They do pick up their 7th turret of the game as the bottom inner goes down for NFH. And now we see the inhibitor push possibly coming out of TNG here. Zab's going out, hitting .ie, but he is really, really tanky. The charm lands onto him, taking a lot of harassment. True Shot Barrage coming out, trying to clear away those minions, but the inhibitor does get picked up. And now TNG will just back away, wait for the Baron regen to heal them back up, and immediately rotate top to take that inhibitor turret, plus possibly its inhibitor as well.
I could be speaking too soon, but it's looking like...
Oh, nice explosive cast coming out of Gragas! But the follow-up is just not there in time. It did deal a lot of damage.
With a beautiful taunt. Not quite there.
It did deal a lot of damage, but as we said, the Baron regen is so high. Valkyrin, who arguably took the most damage from that ultimate, almost back up to full health as he eats another barrel. And here comes the tidal wave, possibly for the engage here. Here it goes. It's weak. Going in. Zapzarab jumping straight onto Cheap Noodles. He is going very low here, but Razor is immediately there, vault breaking onto him. The denting blows take him away. And we see TNG disengaging here as Assault and Battery is used onto Zapzarab. He will go down here. Ari Min, the meanwhile, lands the charm onto Razor, deletes him from the map. Varkin now in trouble as NFH picks themselves up 2 kills here in this engagement. And it might still not be over. Yes, now it is. Or no, it isn't. As the flash from .ie onto Ryadan, followed by the taunt, picks him up too. Now Shitsweek's gonna be the next target here, or is he? No, he is not. They instead opt to go for that red buff and let the jungler run.
Quite surprised by how that fight turned out. I mean, we saw the Shen coming down again on the AD carry of Team Noob Gaming, that Jinx, and just really just taking her out of the fight. And the crescendo coming down from Sona, protecting him. I had no idea he was actually going to get out of that. And then all the while, Ezreal just standing at the edge, being that archer, and just doing a lot of poke.
And as the game approaches 45 minutes, there's still no real end in sight, as both the gold values and the turret values and the kill values are still pretty much bang even. Those two teams definitely have found their match in this game.
Yeah, certainly very close. If we start looking at the build options here, we can see a big lead for the AD carry for Team NFH, and I think it's been instrumental. Jinx has forgone the early Last Whisper and just went straight from 2 damage items into the defensive option in Guardian's Angel. I think that may have come back to bite her here. Shen's been able to just calm down and really take her out of the fight, and she's had no answer. Too much armor, too many resistances coming out of Shen, and that Last Whisper would really have turned that around.
Yes, indeed, that armor shred definitely missing there. Also hadn't had the best of games, sitting at 3 kills and 6 deaths here. Also getting heavily outfarmed by that NFH Ezreal.
It looks like all those farming barrages coming into the favor of Ezreal at this point.
That is true. That is definitely true. And we see another disconnect coming out of NFH here, possibly followed by the pause. Apparently no.
Make us wait for this one.
Oh, there it goes. Another pause coming out. Wow, what is wrong with NFH's internet here?
Welcome to Ireland, I guess, is the thing to be said.
Well, I'm really curious as to how this game will turn out. And who will be the victor of this, because at this point, it is really hard to call a victor. I can see this game going in any direction at this point.
I have a funny feeling the next team fight's going to decide it, and there's going to be a really big shove afterward.
Yes, as the game...
I feel that's how it's been going. Especially with a GA down for that Jinx, she's going to be almost deleted. Unless she picks up that Last Whisper, she's going to be deleted by Shen.
Yes, we'll certainly see if that skipping up the Last Whisper will come back to haunt that Jinx. But still, as the game approaches 50, 60, 70 minutes, the respawn timers get into astronomical heights. So it may very well be the case that the next team fight will decide this game.
And we've got the reboot coming now.
Yes, the pause is getting lifted once more. The game continues. And as we
Just
see...
looking at this Shen's builds, and he's actually picked up the Thorn Meal. Going to be really hard to duel him. He's going to be dealing a ton of passive damage through the Sunfire Cape and the Thorn Meal procs. It's going to be really hard to deal with him.
And as we see the bottom, the top left timer is telling us Baron's going to be up in about a minute. So both teams possibly going to be looking for a pickup right there. That's going to help them out in the team fights. Or in the team fight that possibly will decide the game.
This is really...
Another disconnect. Oh my god. Oh, he immediately reconnected.
They're just showing us now.
Yeah.
I think that's the third blue buff we've seen been stolen by Team Noob Gaming. And we've got an engage coming down from J4.
Oh, look at that. It's weak. Maybe a little bit of trouble here, but it engages onto Godrox with the Cataclysm. He cannot get out of there. Sanfon picks him up. And this may be the opening that TNG looked for. The crescendo was burned, so it's not going to be available for the next team fight. And even if it was, Sona is dead. So now
I'm very surprised that the Stand United was available for Shen. Perhaps it would have been enough to save that Sona and maybe turn a fight around on them.
TNG now making a move on the inhibitor. Sanfon goes in now to cheap noodles. The Charm Lancy immediately explodes. And this may be the game-deciding pickup here, as the entirety of TNG is now moving on towards the Nexus turrets. They go down so quickly. Look at the tidal wave, knocks everyone up. Razor getting caught right there. They're using the assault and battery onto Sanfon, but taking a lot of damage. Dot.ie in the middle of TNG, and he's dealing so much damage. Look at him, he's barely going down, but Zapzarap taking down that Nexus in the meanwhile. Now jumps straight onto Dot.ie. They do pick him up. Respawn has to flash away there. TNG will pick up the game here over NFH after 47 minutes of a really tense and close game.
Yeah, very, very good game coming out from both sides there. Perhaps a few decisions there in the end game just tipped it in Noob Gaming's favour. Very nice pick on the Gragas there to really turn that what was a 4v5 with the Sona dead into a 3v5, and it was just no coming back from that stage, even with the Shen ultimate.
And that last team fight.
Yeah.
Very well. They didn't even need Baron for that. It was the catch that made
it was an excellent catch. Taking the Sona out at the start. I thought they'd almost gone too deep on it, but it worked out for them. And then just picking up the Gragas, getting caught out by that Charm and just blowing up. Didn't even have a chance to proc his Hourglass, just got completely blown up.
That is true. Ladies and gentlemen, that does it for us here in the GG Sunday League, as we saw TNG take down NFH in a very exciting game. Took quite long as well. Saw a couple of very good plays. And, incidentally, the challenger player was taken down.
Yes, I think that's a moral victory for all us
wake
platinum players and below, I guess. Showing that its individual skill is sometimes not all that matters, and it comes down to how a team plays and really pulls together in those end game situations and makes the big plays.
Okay, I'm actually getting told here that we're going to have a best of 2 here, so it's not over yet. We're going to have a second game between those two teams.
Well, looks like we're in for a long one again.
Yes. We'll see. We'll see how this pans out. As it stands, the second game, again, may go any way, because it's just so close between those two teams. Who knows, maybe we will see a stomp, but I wouldn't count on it.
I tend to find in these best of 2 situations, just the mental side of things tends to favour the losing team from the first game. I mean, they really do have nothing to lose. It's a best of 2 situation, so they can really go out and go for it. Whereas the winning team, I mean, they're in a winning position, but they don't have a third game if they make a slip up. I mean, that can really play on your nerves situation.
But anyway, we are going to go into a short pause here, but when we're back, it's going to be Game 2 between NFH and TNG. It's going to be an exciting one. I'm really pumped. See you around. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.